What? Um, hmm. This is streaming. It appears to be. This is going to be interesting. Okay, it's 9 o'clock. Good morning and hello and welcome. My name is Raquel and welcome to Raquel Teaches Web Development. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you may notice that the name of my channel has changed. And that's because I wanted to update it so it reflects the focus of the channel. So instead of it just being called Raquel Teaches, it is now called Raquel Teaches Web Development. So welcome to Raquel Teaches Web Development. Today, I'm going to be giving a lesson on how to use HTML to insert quotations and citations, okay? And it's going to be, once again, kind of based on a lesson that's available at W3 Schools. So if you take a look here at the web browser, this tutorial is going to be based on the lesson here from W3 Schools called HTML Quotation and Citation Elements. I will not be showing all of the elements listed in their page because I don't believe that the last one has anything to do with quotations and citations. So I'm not sure why it's even in there. So we won't be doing the last one, the I believe it's called BDO. Let me just double check that to be sure. Yeah, I won't be going over BDO, but I'll be going over the block quote, cue, abbreviation, address, and cite elements to see how they're used to cite information, quotations and citation information on web pages. All right, so let's get right into it. All right, so first we're going to just look at the block quote element, right? And the block quote element, what it does is that it allows you to present data, present information, content that is quoted from another source. And when you use the block quote element, what HTML will do is that it will indent that information to kind of set it aside from the rest of the content that's surrounding it. So it can be seen that it's from a quoted source. Okay, so in the example, we see that the way that you use the block quote element is that you just type out the element. You can use an attribute called cite within that element if you like, but you use block quote opening and block quote closing elements and then put what you're quoting inside of those tags. Okay, so let's see what that looks like in the editor. So for example, I'm continuing to work here from the example of what I've been working on before with the raisin bread and the recipes and stuff like that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and quote something from, I don't know, maybe a raisin recipe website. I think I had looked something up previously. I don't remember. Let me see. Did I? Yes. So let me switch back to the browser here. Um, I looked up a recipe that has reviews. And so I looked up something by Sandra Lee because she's one of my favorite, I guess, celebrity chefs. It's all about semi-homemade, and that's what I'm all about too. And so this is her recipe for apple raisin bread pudding with cream soda sauce, which isn't exactly what's on the page now, but it's close enough, and it actually sounds kind of good. So I might try making that one day. But when I go to this recipe and scroll down, there are quite a lot of reviews, and so I just want to quote one of those reviews on the page, right? And we're going to see what that looks like. So I'm going to be quoting this first review by someone that posted a review of this recipe back in 2012. So the block quote again, its element is using these things. So let's see what that looks like. And by the way, I also have the page open that I've been working on throughout this playlist. So I'm going to continue with this theme. So when I switch back to my code editor, I'm just going to be inserting the block quote element below the recipe, right? And so first I'm going to put in um, another subheading so people know that these are reviews, right? So let's just add a subheading. If you don't remember how to do that, watch the previous video on how to insert headings here. I'm just going to type the word reviews, right? And I'm going to insert the block quote. So I'm going to type the block quote element. So if you're using Visual Studio Code, you'll notice that it starts to pop up automatically. And again, let's always put the opening and closing tag so we don't forget to close it later. And so in here, I'm just going to copy the text of the review. So if I switch back over to the browser and I just go ahead and copy this review of this apple raisin bread, I'm just going to copy that bad boy. I'm selecting it and then using my right mouse button to copy and paste. I'm not sure why that contextual menu doesn't show up on the screen. It's very weird. Something I haven't figured out yet. I need to Google it. But I'm copying that, and now I'm going to go back to the code editor to paste that copy text in between the opening and closing block quote elements. So I put that there, and I'm going to save it. So now let's go ahead and refresh the page and see what that looks like. So I'm going to go to the browser, and I'm going to go back over to the page. And so it should appear down here under reviews. And it does. And we notice here that reviews is still indented to the left like the other subheadings are, right? And then we see that the review for that recipe is indented. Okay, so that's how the black quote element works. Now, one thing I noticed is that it does have an attribute called cite where you can insert the URL of the web page that you are quoting from. So I want to add that in as well to see what that actually looks like in practice, to see if it's useful anyway. So the format is to add the word cite, an equal sign, and the URL will go inside of quotation marks. So if I go back here and get the URL for this, I'm just going to copy the URL of the recipe itself. People will be able to figure out that they need to scroll down. So let's go back to the quote editor, put it in between the quotes. Let's save that, and now let's refresh the page to see what that looks like. So if we go here, okay, it doesn't really show anything. So I'm not sure how useful that is to use that. I'm not sure. It doesn't seem to do anything. It's not making it a link. So, okay. So unless there's like some very specific meta content reason or SEO reason, which I don't know if it will help SEO, the cite attribute doesn't seem to be necessary or even helpful. So you can it's probably safe to say that you can leave the cite attribute out. But if you want to indent text using the black quote element, that's what it looks like. All right, very simple, just using the element. So now the other quotation elements, you can use another one that's called short quotations, right? And so it just defines a short quotation. And we're going to use it in an example nested within a paragraph of text so that you can see what it looks like. But what the Q element for quotations is supposed to do is that it's supposed to put quotation marks around the quotations, right? So I'm just going to quote another famous chef that I love, who I think is hilarious, and that's Emeril Lagasse. All right, so let's switch back over here to the code editor. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to quote Emeril. So let's just go underneath this black quote element here. And I wonder if you guys can actually see that. I hope you can see it now. All right. Okay, you can see it now. Great. So we're going to use the Q element. Right? I always put a opening and closing. Actually, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it like that. I said I was going to nest it inside a paragraph. So I'm going to create a paragraph first. But as Emeril always says, and then right after here's where I'm going to use the Q element. So let's insert now a Q element. This is going to say, I don't know where you get your chicken, but where you get it from. It don't come. And he always used to say that because he would always tell people, make sure you season your chicken because, otherwise it's going to be bland, which is so true. So for you people that don't remember to season your chicken, season your chicken. Anyway, but this is how we use the Q element to insert a short quote in the content, right? So what this should do is it should start, once we refresh, save and refresh, it should display that text first, and then that quote should be displayed in quotation marks. So let's see what that looks like. Let's save that change, and let's go back to the browser. All right, and let's go back over here. And so it should appear under the reviews. Let's see what that looks like. Scroll down a little bit. And look, it worked. It says, as Emma always says, I don't know where you get your chicken from, but where I get it from, it don't come season. Right? And we can see that it has quotation marks in the beginning of and the end of the short quotation. All right? So that's how you can insert a short quotation. All right? And so the next element we have here is abbreviations. Now, abbreviations is pretty useful when it comes to adding content to your website because it allows you to give clear definitions of what that abbreviation means. I can tell you that I personally hate reading articles or anything that has an abbreviation from the very beginning of the article, and I have no idea what the abbreviation stands for, and I have to figure it out. I shouldn't have to figure it out. Just if it's a shortened version of something, tell people what it is. And so this abbreviation element helps us do that. All right, it makes it allows to make our content easier to understand for the readers. All right, and the good thing about the abbreviation element is that it also provides a way for people to just do it easily, use it easily, utilize it easily, because they can just hover over the information and get the full details. So let's see what that looks like, right, when we use the title attribute. So the abbreviation element is just ABBR. All right, so let's switch over to the code editor. All right, and let's use something like, let's see, what's an abbreviation? MED, right? So I'm sorry, let's just switch back to the browser so we can remember what that sample really means. So when we go to the browser, we see that there's the abbreviation element with the abbreviation inside of the opening closing abbreviation element, and then you can provide the additional details with the title tag, right? So I'm gonna put that in the code editor. So I'm gonna just put something about myself. So first let me put a paragraph. Right? Right? And so MED is the abbreviation, and I want to give the information on that, right? So I can use the abbreviation tag around the MED. So what I can do is I can first put, oh, look, it's already there. Put that there. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Hold on. I just deleted what I'm trying to define. So let me just undo. Control Z is awesome. All right. So I'm not sure what I did there. Let me put my closing abbreviation tag there. Now I can use the title attribute within that abbreviation tag and put Master Education. Right? And so what I'm saying is Raquel earned a MED, Master of Education, in 2020. So let's see what that looks like when we refresh it. Probably should have used something related. I just can't. You know what? Yeah, let's just leave it like that because I can't think of any abbreviations for something food related right now. That's my bad. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and save those changes. I saved that. And now what I'm going to do is switch back to the browser, and we're going to refresh that page to see what that abbreviation looks like. So let's go here, let's refresh, scroll down. And now we see here that it says Raquel earned a MED in 2020. And when I hover over that, it says Master of Education. And again, I don't understand why these hover screens or pop-ups don't appear on the live stream. At least I don't see it from my end right now. I'm hoping it still appears, but if not, I apologize, but it will work when you do it. So as you're practicing this, I encourage you to just check along the way. Don't just start entering all this code and then check it later. You want to make sure that it's working as you do it, but trust me when I tell you that it does work. So when someone hovers over the word MED, they will see a pop-up on the screen that says Master of Education. All right. So that's how you use the abbreviation element. All right, you can use it in conjunction with the title attribute to give a easy way for people to view the context of what you're talking about. Okay, all right, so that's the abbreviation element. So now let's go down to the address element. So the address element, what it does is that it allows you to display information about how to contact someone. And again, it'll set it off and make it look like an italicized format for people to easily see that it's something related to a person, right? So you can do things like putting in a URL, a physical address, a phone number, etc. And you just use the address tag to do that, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to display the my tag for my Instagram, right? One of my Instagrams. So I'm going to use it to do that. So we're just going to use the address tag. So let's go ahead and switch back to the code editor. And in here, I'm just going to go underneath this abbreviation sample. And I'm going to create another paragraph first. It's like, it's going to say this. And then I'm going to put the address tag. Oops, did not put the correct. So it's the opening and closing tag, and I'm just going to put and so what it should do is that it should display my Instagram tag in italics. So let's see if it does that. I'm saving the changes. Let's go back and refresh that browser. Let's refresh. Let's scroll down. And look, it does it. You can find me online at, and then it has my Instagram tag right underneath it in italics. All right, so that's how the address tag works. Now, the last quotation element I'm going to show you is the cite element, right? And so the cite element is used when you want to define the title of a creative work, okay? So I'm going to go back to the food now. So again, I really like Sandra Lee. I have had some of her cookbooks that I run out, by the way. People need to come back. But, she has 2 books on slow cookers that I think are really great. And so I'm just going to use one of her slow cooker book titles as an example. Right? So when we go over here to eBay, I found a few copies for sale on here. And so she actually has 2. The slow cooker recipes, which was the original, and then the slow cooker recipes 2. Right? And so I'm just going to quote one of those. Right? And we see that when we're quoting titles, you can use this cite element to quote titles, and you can use it within a paragraph. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and switch back to the code editor, and we're going to say that we're going to talk about the title of the first book. So we're going to create a new paragraph. So I'm creating the paragraph, and I'm also nesting the cite element within the paragraph, okay? And so we see that once we do that, we can just put the title of the work that we want to use within the cite opening and closing cite elements. So I'm just going to go over to the browser, and I'm just going to copy the title of the book. And actually, the title of the book is Semi-Homemade Slow Cooker Recipes. Okay, yeah, it is right there. So I'm just going to go ahead and see if it lets me copy it. There it does. Okay, I'm going to highlight it there, copy with my keyboard, switch back over to my code editor, and paste it within the cite elements. Right, and then I'm going to save that. And now let's go ahead and refresh the browser and see what it looks like, right? So if I go back over to the browser and I refresh the page we're working on, right? Scroll down and we see that, look, the paragraph is in a regular format, non-italicized, and then when it gets to the title of the book is italicized. Okay, so these are the elements that you can use, and this is how you use those elements to quote information or cite information on a web page. And again, this is useful to know because when it comes to HTML, the point of HTML is to mark up the content so that it makes sense to the reader, makes sense to search engines. It's better to organize, understand, and distribute. Okay, so make sure that you're always using appropriate elements for your content. All right, so that's how you use those elements. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Please go ahead and start practicing using those. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. And if you have any samples that you'd like to share about what you've created, post a link to that as well. All right, just let me know. I'd love to see what you're creating. I'd love to hear feedback from you. If you like this video, please take a moment to hit the like button and also share it with someone that you know will find it useful. And also, if you want to be notified of future live streams, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. It's free. All right, thanks again for checking in. I hope you enjoyed it, and God bless. Take care.